Yeah. Adjust your seat to be suited to yourself, whatever that means for you this morning, so that you're upright and you're present and alert. You're welcome to close your eyes if you like. I began my day with my personal yoga practice when it was still dark, as I do at 5 a.m. And then I got to hear my teacher from Mysore. He was on Zoom at 7 a.m. And then as I was telling Suzanne, I dug out the hot tub and got to do a hot tub snow angel routine on the back deck. Now I get to be with you. So thank you for being here. It's a beautiful, beautiful morning. Yeah. So over the last week, we've been using a particular meditative reflection that comes from my studies in interpersonal neurobiology. And it's called the beneficial body memory. And one way to practice that at the moment is to consider the beautiful or poignant or auspicious moments that you've had in the last few hours or in the last couple of days, and to sense how those resources are still installed in you, like a moment of grace or a moment of peace or an action that you dedicated to that increased your well-being, or an offering that was made in your direction that raised your sense of belonging or your sense of being remembered. So look inside for where you have the body memory of such things. And you may notice that as a kind of internal feeling of being cared about or being cared for, whether that's you caring about yourself or somebody else, or you caring for yourself or feeling cared for by another. And when you contact a memory like this, even if it's a little bit faint or a tiny flicker, rest your attention on it. You might recall that I've shared, Dan Siegel says that our brains are designed like Teflon. When it comes to these beneficial experiences, they seem to slide right out of the brain. And then we have this sort of Velcro for the negative experiences where we attach ourselves to those things. So even if this moment of feeling cared about or cared for is faint or flickering, rest your attention on it and let it grow a little bit in your inner awareness, please. And see if when you focus on it and you let it grow a tiny bit, can you have a felt sense that in your body, this memory or this feeling expands and also deepens? So it's not just skin deep, for example. It has a deeper, more embedded quality to it. And now imagine this feeling tone also becoming a little bit brighter, right? So if it was on a dimmer switch, you're kind of brightening its shimmer. And again, even if it was a flickering or faint experience, see if it can be a little bit larger, a little bit deeper, and a little bit brighter. So this is the practice of remembering. And this morning, my teacher from Mysore, he was giving many stories about how we forget. We forget our essential nature. And he was talking about how forgetfulness leads us, unfortunately, out of this inner sense of remembering. So this is the practice of remembering, also called Smriti in Sanskrit. Now, with that feeling tone installed, and without, of course, denying that there are dilemmas on the planet, there are other things going on, but our focus is here today in this Smriti. Please bring your hands together at your heart. And we're going to chant Asatoma Satgamaya. Let's begin. Om Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha Hari Om. With your exhale, you can bow your head to your heart, and also imagine that you're bowing the thinking mind to this Smriti, this inner memory. And release your hands. Please sit up straight and tall, and take your hands out over your knees so that you have a firm grasp on the knees, limiting how high up you can go with the chest and heart, kind of like having the strings of the hot air balloon, or the thing that gets your tent stake to be really secure in the ground. I want you to be secured from your knees to your hands, up through your shoulders to your heart. Okay, and then please inhale and raise your chest and heart like cow pose. And then exhale and curl your chin down and roll through your spine into flexion like cat pose. And inhale, roll up through your heart. So think of lengthening the lumbar spine and even the lower thoracic spine. Lift your upper back spine. And then exhale and curl down and broaden the space between your shoulder blades at the back of your diaphragm and your lumbar spine. And do this twice more, please. Of course, you have to move at the pace that is your breath cycle. It won't be somebody else's. In rhythm with your inhale, reach up to the high point of the physical movement. In rhythm with your exhale, reach to the most inward point of the exhale and the physical movement. And then bring yourself up to sitting upright and come back to the sensations of the Smriti, the memory. It's not that you're holding on to that specific memory, it's that the feeling tone of being cared about or cared for, that's what you're having your Smriti, your memory about. You now turn your palms face up, straighten the arms. And as you inhale, raise your arms high. Try to make the breath first third, middle third, upper third. Lift your gaze. Okay, exhale, press the arms wide and out. As you're coming down, let the exhale rise up through the spine, even though your arms and your gaze are coming down. Okay, again, inhale, sweep the arms wide. First third of the breath, middle third, upper third for the arms, and raise your gaze. And then exhale, as you're pressing out to the sides of the room, raise the exhale and your spine upwards from the base to the crown. Let's do that again. So when you inhale to raise up, you can imagine you're lifting like a flame would rise to its own tip, a little candle flame. When you exhale and you're pushing out, I love the image as if you were cresting from the water. You're pushing the water down alongside your torso, and that causes you to surface. Let's do it one more time, please. And then pause and let your mind come promptly to Smriti. To take a seat in that feeling tone. And now we're going to do bhastrika. So sitting upright. And the attention is at the solar plexus. Let's begin. Exhale. Inhale the first third of the breath, the middle third, and then the upper third. Hold the inhale, please. Release the suspension slowly and completely. Use the tone of the pelvic floor and the deep abdominal muscles to help with the exhale completing. And then deeply relax the belly. Each time we come back from a pranayama, I'm going to ask you to have that smriti. And for every inhale suspension, to also imagine the feeling tone of what you're remembering, this memory or recollection of. Bhastrika again, please. Exhale. Inhale to suspension. In the suspension, come back to your smriti. Exhale completely. You tone the low belly, squeeze at the end, and then in the deep relaxation, return again to that smriti. And we're going to practice the arm movements for those who haven't seen it to completion. When your hands are clasped and they're at the base of your skull, you have the pinky fingers, this edge of the hand alongside the occipital ridge. Okay, so clasp your hands and start with the heels of the hands pointing down. And also gaze down. Okay, so when I say Jalandhara Bandha during this practice, I'm referring to the head coming back into the physical position of Jalandhara Bandha. Okay, so let's inhale slowly, ujjayi breath. So you're going to raise the arms and your eyes together. As the breath rises to the upper third, also look up. And then exhale, squeeze your hands behind your head and bring your head into the Jalandhara position. Now inhale your elbows forward and lift the breath up into your heart. Look up. Okay, exhale, level your head, squeeze the elbows out to the sides. Press the base of the skull back. Now inhale, left elbow forward, right elbow up, twist to your right. Exhale to center. Press the base of your skull back into the pinky side of the hands. Inhale, right elbow forward, left elbow up. Exhale, squeeze your elbows wide, bring your head to center. Now inhale, elbows forward, and again, look up, please. Raise the base of your skull with your hands. And then exhale, level your head and bring it down to Jalandhara Bandha. One more time for the twist, and we're going to add the side bend. So left elbow forward, right elbow up, and then exhale, side bend to your left. And then rise back up to your twist, breathing in. Exhale, level, return your heart and your head to center. Inhale, right elbow forward, left elbow up. Keep the left pinky at the base of your skull as you exhale, side bend to your right. And then inhale, rise up into your twist. And exhale to center. Press the base of the skull back. Here's the last one. Inhale, elbows forward and look up. Exhale, Jalandhara Bandha. Now inhale, raise the heels of your hands high. Open your throat. And exhale, arms wide. Press out to the sides of the room and raise up through the crown of your skull. Rest your hands out over your knees. And let all of those movements become still. So like circles on water becoming still. In the reflection, aim to see that Smriti, that feeling tone of being cared about or cared for. Now we're going to do one more pranayama. It's a little sequence that we've been doing intermittently to learn it. It'll be 5 strong exhales, bhastrika. Okay, and then it's going to be inhale, left nostril. You're going to suspend that. We exhale and blow slowly out through the mouth, like a teeny tiny straw. Then we'll repeat that, and you'll have Nadi Shodhana at the end, and I'll say each part as we do it. Okay, so first it's 5 strong bhastrikas. Let's do those together. Now inhale, left nostril. Suspend. Make a teeny opening with the lips. Exhale. 5 strong bhastrikas. Inhale, right nostril. Make a tiny opening with the lips. Exhale. Bring your right hand up. Inhale, left nostril. Exhale, right. Inhale, right. Exhale, left. And now sit quietly. Notice any access you have to stillness, what we call Stithua. Stithua means stable tranquility. That's this inner feeling that we want to take with us to a standing practice that we're going to do. So I'll change my camera view. Here we go. Please come up to standing, and we'll use 2 blocks for the sun salutation this morning. Sometimes the kittens get activated with Surya Namaskar, and sometimes they try to drink out of my water glass. So you might see a little kitten management during class. Otherwise, please rise up to stand. Let's place the feet in mountain pose. Bring your hands together at your heart. Now we're going to use ujjayi breathing during Surya Namaskar. So that should be pretty consistent for you. And it's going to be at your particular length and pace. I'll say what I'm doing, but I don't expect that everybody has my breath length. I do want to encourage you to move slowly. So we're balancing the fire element, which gives us the light in which we can see that fire that's inside, kind of like lighting up the inner material. And we're also balancing the water element, which is the unctuous, fluid feeling tone of, let's say, grace or elegance. So with your ujjayi inhale, hands down, palms out, and rising up. And exhale, chair pose. Inhale, rise up. And this morning, let's see if you can rise up, lift your gaze, and tippy toe. So you're like the high point of a flame on a candle. Okay, now exhale, press the arms wide and bow forward. Lower your heels as your hands touch the blocks. Then complete the exhale. Okay, inhale, glide your heart forward. Exhale, bend your knees, sit back into your hips. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, Uttanasana. Curl yourself down over your thighs and pour into the strength of your body. And inhale, arms wide. As you rise up, Urdhva Hastasana, can you also tippy-toe? And then exhale, arms wide, lower your gaze and join your palms at your heart as your heels reach the floor. Again, inhale, let's tippy-toe, gaze up. And then exhale, come down to chair pose. Lower your heels, sit your hips back, root into the center of the pelvis. Inhale, rise up. I will ask you to tippy-toe again. And then exhale, arms wide as you bow forward. Lower your heels, not first thing, but let the heels lower as you're completing your exhale and your hands find your blocks. Inhale, glide forward through your heart. Respect the inhale, pause. Exhale, bend your knees, sit your hips back. Inhale, chair pose. And exhale, pour yourself down to Uttanasana. Feel into the strength of your body. Inhale, rise up, and we will be tippy-toeing. So see if you can start lifting the heels, not waiting for the last moment to lift. And then exhale, arms wide. You're going to return your hands to your heart, gaze to the floor, and heels to the ground. Now for Surya Namaskar, we'll start with that and add virabhadrasana 1. So inhale, raising up, tippy-toe. Good. Okay, exhale, bend your knees, sit down, chair pose. Inhale, rise up. If possible, tippy-toe. You can also look up. Yeah. And then exhale, Uttanasana. So your heels are going to come to the floor towards the end of your descent there. Then inhale, glide forward through your heart. Now take the left toes back, and this morning, let's put the left heel down in the position called virabhadrasana 1. And then inhale, rise up. I am holding my water glass because the cat was trying to get to it. Sweep the arms up and please gaze up. We're going to hold steady. So virabhadrasana 1, I'd like it to be steady and tranquil, Stithua, to have that feeling tone here. Even though it's a pose that also elicits fire and requires strength and stamina, can there be some tranquility? I'm trying to drink the water down so the cat can't reach it. Okay, so in this position, virabhadrasana 1, let's inhale and reach up one more time. And then exhale, sweep your arms wide and imagine you're holding a giant ball, like a giant beach ball. So the back of the body is going to be broad here. Reach into your left heel and the big toe, outer heel and pinky toe. Please don't collapse onto your right outer hip. Breathe in again as you're holding this humongous, beautiful beach ball. Let the back of the body expand during your inhalation. And then exhale, place your hands, and without losing that expansion on the back body, inhale, step to plank pose. And exhale, reach back, downward facing dog pose. Enjoy a deep inhalation. Exhale, left foot forward. As you place your foot, pivot your right heel down, and inhale, rise up, virabhadrasana 1. And in warrior 1, you're really looking for the back leg to have this kind of taproot feeling. So reach from your upper inner right thigh back into your right inner heel. Press into the right big toe. Good. Use the outer edge of your foot also. Yeah. And keeping a measure of elegance, Stithua we call it, stable tranquility. With your next in-breath, look up. And then exhale and sweep your arms wide. Now keep some tone at the back of your right butt and don't collapse onto your left hip, please. Imagine you're holding this enormous beach ball, or maybe that you're like a bird in the sky and you have this huge wingspan. The back of the body is broad. Now breathing in. When you exhale, place your hands firmly on the two blocks and step to plank pose. Inhale, downward facing dog pose. And then let's exhale, roll your spine forward like cat, come into plank. And then step over one foot and then the other. Inhale into seal pose as a structure. And exhale into plank pose. And then inhale, downward facing dog pose. Gaze back between your heels. And check the quality of smoothness with the breath. Keeping the eyes relatively steady.
Sarah, I think we've lost audio.
Thank you, Sandra. Okay, rise back to mountain pose, please. We'll join up here. When you get to mountain pose, practice letting the sun salutation go. The efforts were there. Your body has an activation. So where is the Smriti? Breathe into that. Now we're going to repeat. So inhale, ujjayi, raise up to your tiptoes. Reach up, look up, try to join all those parts at the same moment. Exhale, chair pose. So your heels don't rush to the floor and the hips don't rush back to the seat. The pace of movement, inhale to come up. The pace wants to be pretty consistent through the whole process. And then exhale, uttanasana. So your gaze is going to come down and back between your heels. Then inhale, glide your heart forward. Now take the left toes straight back. And in preparation, put your blocks on the inside of your right ankle. So they're going to be there for you when you come down. Inhale to virabhadrasana 1. So what's important here is the taproot of your left leg. Don't leave that out. Try to aim your hips, relatively speaking, forward and reach from the upper inner left thigh back into your left inner heel. Yeah. Lift your lumbar spine and the back waist, almost like you're going to reach up through your thumbs and lift your t-shirt out of the back waist. Yeah. And then lift your heart and your gaze. Now with the strength of your back leg, exhale, arms wide like you're holding a giant beach ball. So the torso, you can imagine you're kind of soaring over your right leg. If you were a great bird in the sky, you're looking down at these two blocks. Breathe in. And then exhale and place both hands on the blocks firmly. Press down and keeping your right hand secure on its block, inhale, open to your left. Sweep your left arm past your left ear. Reach from your upper inner left thigh into your left heel and your left big toe, left pinky toe, left outer heel. And then anchor your tailbone so you're reaching strongly into your left heel from the back of your sacrum down to your tailbone. And then imagine again, you can reach with your left thumb as if you could lift the t-shirt out of your back waistband by lengthening the back of your body. And now with an exhale, roll down and place your palms flat on these two blocks. And for those for whom your body structure would be open to it, you can bring your elbows down to the two blocks. You can also make the two blocks taller. You could stack the two blocks and make the blocks a little higher. When you come down, imagine your spine is like a cat pose spine. And your gaze can go back towards your left heel at the back side of your mat. You may notice your body generating some heat. That's the fire element in the body. But the mind and the breath can remain tranquil and steady. Okay, one more time, breathing in. And then place your palms firmly on the two blocks again. Press down into your arms. This is a little bit of a narrow position for your plank, so put the right block to the outside and step backwards to plank pose. And then inhale to downward facing dog pose. And exhale, left foot forward. Pivot your right heel to the floor. Rise up, virabhadrasana 1. Okay, so when you're getting your pose established, sometimes during the kind of establishing phase, which is like the first breath or two, it's actually helpful to have your gaze down. And reach from the upper inner right thigh back into your right heel. And find the big toe back there so it can actually press into your inner heel on your right foot. And the pinky and the outer heel too. Yeah. And with the tailbone anchored, when you're raising the arms up, imagine you're lifting your thumbs and they're attached to this t-shirt you're wearing, and you're able to lift the t-shirt out of your back waistband. And then you can raise your heart and your gaze, but without the lower spine feeling compromised. And now exhale, float the arms wide. Imagine you are holding this enormous and beautiful beach ball, or that you're a bird soaring in the sky. Gazing down. Please do not rest on your left hip. You're not collapsing there. Now placing both blocks to the inside of your left ankle, come to your fingertips and press firmly into your left fingertips. Lengthen the left inner thigh and knee so that before you raise your right arm, you already feel like the left leg is ready to support the pose. Sweep your right arm past your right ear and reach into your right heel. Don't forget, from the upper inner right thigh, reach back into your right inner heel, outer heel, the big toe, the pinky toe. If you were a great bird in the sky, you'd also likely have pretty strong claws. So you could imagine that you're using the toes to actually hold on to the yoga mat. With that established, root your tailbone, lengthen it towards your right heel. And as you lengthen your left inner thigh forward, reach into your right thumb, like you're again going to lift your t-shirt out of your back waistband. And let's exhale and come down slowly, placing both palms firmly on the 2 blocks. And then decide if you're going to make the blocks taller or simply come down to your elbows. I use the word simply. That doesn't mean the same thing as the word easy. And when you come down, gaze back at your right heel. So your body, your torso's in flexion. There may be some heat that your body is generating. But that heat does not need to disrupt your mind. We keep the breath even and steady, the mind clear and focused. Return your hands to be firm on the 2 blocks. Place the left block to the outside and step backwards to plank pose. Inhale to downward facing dog pose. And then exhale, roll your spine forward like you're doing cat pose on your way to plank pose. Inhale to seal pose. Bring the tops of your feet to the floor and your knees. Lift up. And then exhale, bend your elbows, glide your shoulders back. Come slowly and smoothly down. Put the 2 blocks aside and make a little pillow of your hands to rest your head. The pose is called Makrasana. So bring your head down on the back of your hands. So you can imagine this is like a few moments where you get sort of refuge, or the bird, the great bird in the sky, is looking down and now it's resting. You gaze inside and see if in the little bit of the flurry of physical asana or the heat that your body generated, where did the Smriti go? Do you feel like you still have access to that? And when you tap into that Smriti, how does it become a companion for you right here on your yoga mat? Now with your head centered, place your hands beneath your shoulders. Tuck your toes under. And inhale, rise up to plank pose. Exhale to downward facing dog pose. We have set the blocks aside. So this is your basic dog pose with your hands on your yoga mat. When you next exhale, step your awkward foot forward first, and then the other foot can step forward. Come into Uttanasana. Now resuming the ujjayi breath, let's inhale, rise up to your tippy toe position. And on the way up, you start lifting the heels before you get to the highest point of the breath. And then exhale, take the arms wide, raise up through the crown of your skull, and join your hands at your heart. Now we're going to add a twist to that practice. So what I'd like you to do is put the 2 blocks again. We're going to use them in that. It's called parvrtta parsvakonasana is the name of the pose. So join your palms together. Let's begin. Inhale. Tippy toe, please. Chair pose, Utkatasana. Bring your Smriti with you as you rise up, upward hands pose. Okay, Uttanasana. Inhale, glide forward. Exhale, left toes back. Keep your Smriti with you. Inhale, virabhadrasana 1. Rise up smoothly. 1 full movement this time. Exhale like a bird in the sky. placing the hands on the inside. Inhale, parvrtta. Sweep your left arm past your left ear. Now breathing in. When you exhale, reach your left arm forward and bring the left elbow or forearm down to the blocks, and then hold your right ankle or shin with your left hand. So you have this little platform for your forearm. Bring your right hand to your right knee and twist your upper back to your right. Please keep the right hip in line with your right knee. You can imagine your right outer hip is reaching with the left inner thigh. They're both reaching towards your left heel. So this twist, I really want to be in your upper back, in your mid to upper thoracic spine. Press down into your left elbow and ask, if you bring your Smriti into this moment, how does that shift your experience of the pose? And how does it shift your experience of yourself? Now with your next exhale, return your left palm to the blocks, right palm to the blocks, put it on the outside. Pick up your left inner heel. And then step your right foot back to plank pose. Inhale, downward facing dog pose. Exhale, left foot forward, pivot your right heel to the floor behind you. Rising up, virabhadrasana 1. Exhale like a great bird in the sky. Coming down. Place your hands on the inside of your ankle. And then inhale, open to parsvakonasana. Sweep your right arm past your right ear. Now keeping your left outer hip stable, left outer heel and pinky toe stable. Start to bring your right arm down. So the twist is already beginning before you lower your right elbow all the way to the block. Cross your right hand over to your left ankle and place your left hand on your left knee. Twist to your left while keeping the stability of the legs. Notice what happens if you bring that feeling tone of Smriti as a companion to the efforts you're making right now. Focus your twist to be in your upper back and your heart. And then placing your hands firmly on the two blocks. Let's put the left block to the outside of the left foot and step back to plank pose. And then inhale, downward facing dog pose. Now we'll do this one more time. Let's exhale, roll forward like cat pose to come to plank pose. Inhale to seal pose. So you can point the toes, raise up. Slide your shoulders back, elbows back. Come down like you're passing through cobra pose on your way to makrasana. Make a little pillow of your hands and rest your head down. When you rest your head down, your body's going to recover a more even breath pace there. So notice what happens for you if you bring in your Smriti, this memory, the feeling tone of being cared about or cared for. What happens when you bring that in as a companion during your practice? Now place your hands beneath your shoulders, please, and press up to table pose and then back to child's pose. And let's put one block for the head for child's pose. And rest your elbows on the floor in front of your knees. We'll do the palms face up. You can place the block so it feels like the right height for your head and neck to be relaxed together. And then walk your hands back towards your knees and rise up, please, to kneeling. And we'll take one block on the flat or the medium setting, if you decide, to take a seat on in what we call virabhadrasana, or sometimes called virasana. Hi, little warrior. Yeah. So when you take a seat now, you can imagine that candle flame that you were reaching up as the tip of, that candle flame is in the heart. And the light of that flame is what makes it possible to reflect. If we didn't have a little flame or a little fire inside, we would be reflecting in darkness. Let this fire, this candle flame, help you to reflect. What happens if you bring back in the practice the Smriti? So you have a companion in your own heart. This feeling of being cared for or cared about. Now, from where you are kneeling, if possible, kneel without your blocks. So you're just sitting hips on the heels. And if you need to, of course, you put a blanket between your hips and your ankles so your knees are more comfortable. What I want us to explore is this process of twisting where I'm going to ask you to keep the lumbar spine mostly in flexion, but there's going to be an element of side bending and then there's rotation in the thoracic spine. And just a little experiment for that. If you put your blocks to the right side of your leg, like this, so they're there, they're ready for you, and you turn, place your right hand on the block, left hand on your thigh, and as you gaze down, add a little twist. So actively let the head come down. And then place your left hand on the block as well. Now, if you watch, when you go from here, the left hand is giving stability for the twist of the inner belly to the right. You have to maintain that as you walk your left hand over to the block. Don't bend the right elbow. Let it come from the upper thoracic spine, being willing to bring your left hand out to the block. So the right arm needs to be strong and steady. You want to billow open the back of the body. We are gazing down and twisting to the right all at the same time. And see if the left hand might find the block, maybe first lightly, and perhaps eventually with some firmness. The reason that that's difficult is that the upper back spine has to kind of stretch or open there. Now unwind, walk yourself back around. And in your basic virabhadrasana, notice what's happening in the quadrants of the back of your body. And we'll put the 2 blocks on the other side. So where you're starting, this is neutral. We're adding flexion and rotation and also some side bending. And you may be asymmetrical left to right. So put your right hand to the outside of your left thigh, left hand to your block, and just initiate a twist where you're gazing down. You can gaze down and left, a little bit to the left. You do want to have some firmness in the presence of your left hand on the block. The left arm is going to stay straight. And notice what happens when you start reaching your right hand towards the block as well. Do your best not to just reach for the right block, in other words, to be successful about getting there, but to really feel the strength of the left arm, the inner movement of the belly, the rotation of your thoracic spine, and a request from the back hemisphere of your body to allow the right upper quadrant of your back to open. And then as you unwind, you're going to come back to your basic virabhadrasana and notice the zigzag that's possibly happening on the back of your body. Now we're going to take these 2 blocks to sit on and make them flat like this. And I'm going to ask you to kneel on them in virabhadrasana. So put the feet on either side of the 2 blocks. Check that you're kneeling. You're going to be up a little bit tall. And then step your right foot forward like this. And walk the right foot to the right a little bit. Yeah. So you just place it to the outside of your, really the hip socket. So your right femur is set a little bit at an angle. If this was straight on, maybe you're 15 degrees to the right, something like that. You raise your right arm up. And then keeping both hips on the blocks, come forward and down. And you may put your right upper arm against your right shin. Press your hands firmly into the floor and use your cat pose spine. Now take your left elbow, maybe on your left knee, and your left hand over to your right ankle. Keeping the torso low, place your right hand on your right knee and begin twisting your upper back to your right. Kind of gaze back between your right side waist and your right wrist. If you have an opening there, you can gaze back through there. Check that you're keeping your right hip on the block. And then keeping the rotation to your right, walk your left hand up to your right knee, press your right hand on your right knee. And as you keep twisting now, hook your left elbow to the outside of your right knee. And join your palms together in prayer position. Widen your elbows as you gaze past your right side torso here. Maybe you can look between your right wrist and your right shoulder. With a twist in the inner belly right now, I do want you to have your right hip grounded and your left elbow firmly set against your right outer thigh or knee. let's exhale. And when you unwind, come around to sit in your virabhadrasana or your virasana. So put your right foot back and just get really still and notice what your body does. There's multiple moving parts through that process there. So let's see what happens in the inner body now. Bring your Smriti back into your heart. Notice what it's like to have that companion, the feeling tone as a companion. And then bring your left foot forward. So the left foot pointing straight ahead at first, but then let's call that like straight out and then go about 15 degrees out to the side. Raise your left arm up and come forward. Put the left shoulder, if you can, bring your left shoulder to the inside of your left knee, and it's possible that your left upper arm is going to press back against your left shin bone. Place your hands on the floor and let's come into the cat pose spine. You can firmly press your hands down to help you create that cat pose spine. And bow your head. And even as you're making these efforts right here, sense what happens if you bring in that memory, the feeling tone that we began class with, based on a feeling of being cared for or cared about. Whether that was you being responsible for an internal quality of care or you received care from someone else. And place your right forearm on your right knee. Walk your right hand over to your left ankle. And let's take the left hand on the left knee, start twisting to your left. The twist is in the upper thoracic spine. Lots of people will have to check if the left hip stays grounded on the block. You can check that for yourself also. Notice how you breathe and where you're moving the heart from. We're going to keep pressing the left hand down and keep twisting to your left. You can walk your right hand up to your left knee. Maintain your twist as you hook your right elbow to the outside of your left knee. Join your palms together and twist to your left. And maybe you can gaze back between the opening of the left wrist and the left shoulder. Please do keep your right elbow firm on your left knee and your left hip firm on your block. So there's a real foundation, and the twist is in the watery part of the inner belly. And then as you release, go ahead and unwind slowly the varied parts of your pose and shift yourself over to virasana again. Sit down maybe on both blocks, or if you prefer, like I do, I just went down to one block. You could make that decision for yourself. And let your body and all the efforts you were just making, let those things rest. Listen inside. Your Smriti is still installed there. Lengthen up through the crown of your skull so the spine just keeps this elegance of going up, even though the mind and your gaze, they're coming down. Now, keeping an inwardness in your attitude, please make a shift to having your blanket on the floor nearby. Let me recommend that you take the blanket today and fold it in thirds like this. So not in half, but in thirds. And please lie on your back with your knees bent. Let's put the blanket, it's going to go under your hips. So when you lie down, you can then reach for the blanket and place it under the back of your tailbone. Let's go for the lower part, like the lower hemisphere of the sacrum, please. And then bring both knees to your chest. And let the knees drop in towards the chest. So each knee can go towards its own shoulder. You may hold the back of your hamstrings between your hamstrings and your calves. Send your eyes and your mind down into your heart, where the Smriti is installed. Allow your breathing to soften and to slow down. And we'll do this simple practice. We're going to do it about 3 times. So you'll inhale through the nose, and then we exhale and curl up. The head curls up to the knees. And during the exhale, you're going to blow out like a sound. And we're going to inhale and roll the spine back down. And then the next exhale is going to just be like a sigh. Okay, so we go like this. Breathe in through the nose. Then exhale to curl your head and shoulders up. And inhale, roll down. And exhale, deeply relax, like the whole body is sighing. Now breathe in. Curling up. Breathe in through the nose. Go down slowly. Upper back, shoulder blades, shoulders and head. And then exhale like you're sighing. One more time, breathe in. Then inhale slowly, rolling down. And exhale like you're sighing. And place your feet back on the floor. Lift your hips and just slide the blanket right under the sitting bones at the top of your hamstrings. Place your hands on the belly and relax, please. Let's keep the eyes down in the heart. and the mind also very still in the heart. And though we began class with this memory of feeling some beneficial experience of care, know that you're also generating these beneficial body tones or body memories by being here today. That this is essentially, the present moment is going to be a memory that you can tap back into in a future moment. So let your eyes and your mind rest in your heart, not to move about. You're building the memory field of feeling cared about, cared for, a felt sense of connection and belonging. Keep your mind and your eyes at rest in your heart. It's possible that right now your breath is very shallow, maybe even imperceptible. Just trust in your body's wisdom, please. Let your eyes and your mind be really still. And keeping your mind and your eyes at rest in your heart. You have your past Smriti, and you are right now generating the embodied memory that your future self will be drawing on as a resource. So please rest really deeply so your mind and your eyes are not pulling you away. Continue giving yourself the gift of the stillness. So both your eyes and your mind support the process. Let nothing pull you away right now. And with that stillness continuing to simmer without moving your mind or your eyes, increase your awareness of the source of this stillness. Notice the inherent connection between the Smriti, your practice, which is called the sadhana, and then this Stithua, this stable tranquility. And without losing access to that, I'd like you to make a thoughtful transition to sit in meditation. If possible, make it a simple transition so you're not dissipating. You're just changing the form of the body, but your eyes and your mind can then stay seated in your heart. And the breath may still be quite shallow or even imperceptible. So allow your mind and your eyes to stay seated in the heart. Listen for the source of the Stithua, the stable tranquility. Encourage your mind not to move away from the Smriti, the Stithua. You're right now deeply embedding another memory that will be yours to draw from as a resource. As you stay at rest in your own heart, this Smriti, this Stithua, without having to open your eyes, just start to sense you actually are not practicing solo, you are practicing with others. And they too are installing this kind of stillness or memory. So you can add to this particular memory, the one you're sourcing right now, that you're creating it moment to moment. Add to that this feeling of Sangha. So these words are Smriti, that is the remembrance, Stithua, the stable tranquility, and Sangha, the community in which you are practicing. The practice is called sadhana. And with appreciation for this, please bring your hands to your heart. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you everyone for being here. Thank you, thank you. Namaste. Thank you also to my teachers, my teacher who I saw on Zoom this morning, 7 a.m. Saturday in Portland, 8:30 p.m. in the evening in India. thanks to all of you for being here also to have a sense of the community. I'm going to come up to see you more closely. I will shift my camera so you can actually see me, not just my shoulder. I don't know if you could hear that the kittens were snoring. When they were sleeping, they were snoring.
I could hear.
You could hear that, yeah. It's like a snore purr, that kind of snoring and purring at the same time. Thank you, April. Yeah, lovely to know how you're doing. So the breathing practice at the end, that little, you're exhaling and curling up and inhaling to go down. There's another layer to that practice. It's called pill bug breathing. I had to name it something. And it's called pill bug breathing after the little bugs that end up on their back sometimes in the garden and they curl in like that. And so you're curling up like a pill bug and then you're releasing the breath in that way.